All right, Tony, are you ready for the moment?
Yes, ma'am.
Now all we have is pre-Endgame and post-Endgame, and pretty soon we're gonna be post-Endgame.
No comment. I'm ready. Let's go.
Bye, Mies. I'm gonna miss you. I think there's a high chance that the original 6 Avengers are gonna die. No? You don't think so?
Maybe.
Maybe. He's seriously no fun. Can you tell? 1:45 in the morning. Did you see that? We just got home from seeing Avengers Endgame, and I just wanted to say some really quick thoughts before I go to sleep, and hopefully I will have more brain power to expand on my thoughts tomorrow. But I wanted to get out some quick feelings immediately post Endgame. As of right now, I'm officially in love with it. I'm sure as I think and marinate more, I will have criticisms or complaints. As of right now, I'm obsessed and I loved it. You come here, say hi? Did you miss us while we were going? I cried so many times during this movie, full of emotions. There was just so much going on and my brain was constantly going all these different directions, and I was just overfilled with so many emotions. Bless you! First of all, the opening scene to this movie, when we see Clint teaching his daughter how to shoot an arrow, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. I'm so glad that his family survived the snap. I'm so glad to see him training his daughter. He's probably gonna die in this movie, so now we'll have a new Hawkeye character. No. This is pre-snap, and we get to watch his entire family evaporate into dust, and that's how the movie opened, and I was immediately crushed and immediately in tears, and it had literally only been maybe 5 minutes. Welcome to this emotional roller coaster. Welcome to everything sucking. I also cried when Natasha died. Obviously, the whole scene between her and Hawkeye, and the way they were introduced in the first Avengers movie, and their storylines being so intertwined, and them working at S.H.I.E.L.D. together, to watching them fight each other to see who was going to be the one to sacrifice themselves at the end. It crushed me. I was so upset, and I cried happy, amazing tears when everybody showed up at the battle, and all the portals opened and everybody came through, and this huge army was there, and all the characters were back, and it was this huge support system, because Captain America just looked so defeated and so ready to give up, and I was just overwhelmed with joy. And I of course cried at the end when Tony died. Tony is my favorite Avenger. He's obviously the first Avenger. Interaction with Pepper, I just couldn't handle it. When she's like, you can rest now, and we knew he was never going to be able to relax until he saved everybody, and then knowing that Doctor Strange saved Tony in Infinity War because Tony was so integral to how they defeat Thanos, and it's all because Tony had to wear the gauntlet and make the final snap. And I was also overwhelmed with gratitude and joy and just empowerment when all of these badass, amazing female superheroes came to support Captain Marvel as she was going to take the Infinity Gauntlet across the battlefield. And they were like, yeah, good luck getting across. And she's like, I don't need luck. I got all my bad bitches behind me. To see Valkyrie on her horse, see Scarlet Witch take revenge on Thanos for killing Vision. She is such a badass. She is incredible. I freaking love Scarlet Witch. Oh my God. And then the moment when Thor almost died. I guess we're talking about the battle scene, because that's really all that my brain's focusing on at the moment. He had 2 hammers. He had Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and all of a sudden Mjolnir starts to twitch on the ground, and I was like, oh, he's just calling their hammer. And then it went to Captain America. There was cheering, there were rounds of applause. It was amazing. Throughout the movie, I just kept having all these thoughts. I didn't really have a whole lot of predictions and theories going into the movie. I thought original 6 Avengers would die, or at least a majority of them. And I really liked the theory of each person in these 6 wielding one of the 6 Infinity Stones, and they kind of did a whole segment on that a little bit when they went back in time to gather the Infinity Stones. Where was I going with this? Oh, so I didn't really have a ton of theories. As I was watching it, it occurred to me, we knew Captain America was going to be done after this movie. He like posted that beautiful goodbye on Twitter that made me cry, and I was like, he's got to be done. But I didn't think they would kill him because he's such a fan favorite. And I don't know, I just didn't feel right to kill Captain America. Like, he needed to have his happy ending. They started going back in time. I'm like, he's gonna go back in time to the 1940s and he's gonna be with Peggy. That's how his story's gonna end. That's what his entire journey has been. It's about getting, you know, missing Peggy and like struggling with not being in the right time and with, you know, being in the future and, you know, missing so many years of his life. And then he went back in time and he was with Peggy, and then he passed his shield on to Falcon, and Falcon's gonna be the new Captain America, which, I mean, I knew they were gonna pass the torch, but I thought it was gonna be to like somebody that wasn't already an MCU character. But then they made Falcon him, and I just felt like it was so perfect because they were just like buddies and they were teammates, and I didn't really know what was going to happen with Thor, like what to expect with Thor. And so it was interesting to like see him join the Guardians, or the Asgardians of the Galaxy crew. He had such great chemistry with them in the previous movie that just like made sense, and it just felt right. Like they were missing Gamora because Gamora has now died twice. Poor Peter. And it was just like, it was like a natural like void that he was coming in to fill. I didn't think that the Hulk was gonna die. Tasha, I felt like she was gonna die, and she did. I didn't expect to like none of them died in battle. The only one who died in battle was Tony, and I was expecting a whole lot of them to die in battle, and they didn't. That's like all my brain can think of at the moment, because it's almost, what, 2 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, I've been awake since 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday, so I need to go to bed, stop my rambling rant right now, and I'll come back to you in the morning with more clear thoughts and hopefully have more things that I would like to discuss. Oh my gosh, I just thought about Peter and Tony reuniting. How beautiful it was. I'll see you all in the morning. Alright friends, so it has been a while since I went and saw Avengers Endgame. It is now Sunday, so I've had over 24 hours to think about the movie and to process my feelings and my thoughts, and I thought I'd come on here and give a much less rambly, much less like 2 a.m. fangirling on my thoughts about the movie. I even took some notes. They're not in any order, so I don't know how helpful they're going to be. I also don't remember what I talked about at all because it was 2 in the morning. But I think the first thing I want to talk about, because it's right in the tip of my mind, is the death of Black Widow. I kind of figured, I think I mentioned this before, that Black Widow would be one of the characters who dies at the end of this movie, just because I feel like Scarlett Johansson kind of wants to move on and like go to a new phase of her life. Like, that's what it has seemed like. There's rumors that there's gonna be a Black Widow movie, so we know that she's going to do that, but I don't think that she wants to like move forward in the timeline and have any more like responsibilities for future movies, because the Black Widow movies would probably be a prequel. Well, obviously they'd be a prequel. The minute that she dies, they like the next scene are the Avengers at the compound in New York. Immediately I was at this point in the movie and I'm like, wow, that's not good. A lot of people are not going to be okay with that. They're going to react really negatively. She was basically killed to further the storyline. That was probably not a really great decision. Also, I want to talk about Thor's character a little bit, because it's very obvious that he's going through PTSD and he's not coping with what happened with Thanos very well. I don't think that they necessarily like handled his PTSD as well as they've handled previous characters' PTSD. Like, I think Tony's was really well handled and it was really like well realized on screen, but I guess everybody handles PTSD and things differently and experiences that differently. But Thor's kind of turned into like a joke in a way. Like, I felt really bad for him, aware that he was obviously struggling, but I don't feel like it was handled as seriously as Tony's. It was more of like a joke, and I feel like it's probably because Chris Hemsworth wanted to do something different. He always wants to do something different with his character, and as the movies have progressed, he's had more freedom to do what he wants with the character, and I felt like this was probably him being like, I want to do a different rendition of Thor. I'm gonna make him fat and an alcoholic, and this is what we're going to do. Was it the best decision? I don't know. He was comedic relief, and I feel like they probably needed some of that in the movie, but was it the best? Probably not. I don't think I talked about Loki either, did I? I don't know. Because Loki in the past was able to escape with the Tesseract, I feel like that opens a lot of doors for him to come back in future movies. He's such a fan favorite. So many people love him. I personally love him. I hope this means we can see more of some version of Loki in future MCU movies. I want to talk about like the deaths of specifically Gamora and Natasha because they both died for the Soul Stone. I wonder if there's some other like way we can bring them back, because at the end of the movie it was obvious that Peter Quill was still going to go searching for Gamora. So I wonder if she's in like a soul dimension somewhere or in some other kind of dimension that he could travel to somehow in order to bring her back. Peter was kind of the worst in the last movie, but I felt really bad that he had to lose her twice now. Also, there is this YouTube channel that I am obsessed with, Super Carlin Brothers. They do a ton of things that like book nerds love, and one of the things they talk about is Marvel. And so they did a video about what could be the next possible villain for the MCU, because how do you outdo Thanos? And they mentioned Celestials in that video, and they also mentioned, I don't know what the dude is, but he was in Fantastic Four as like that big giant cloud, like some kind of cosmic entity. I will insert, you'll see, you know, whatever. Both of those were things that they thought could possibly be future villains in the MCU. I watched their review of Endgame and I was shocked that they didn't talk about this in their review, but both of those things were mentioned in Endgame. There's a scene where they're talking about the cosmic blast that happened as a result of the snap, and they were able to track a second cosmic blast when Thanos destroyed the stones. So clearly it's like this universe shattering event, and those events typically conjure up this villain. I don't remember what his name is. So the Carlin brothers could be totally right, and it could be a doorway for that character to come into the MCU. And then also they talk about Celestials, and they talk about how there is a Celestial who lives under the mountain of Vormir and is like part of the whole like mysteriousness of Vormir and the Soul Stone. So it's very possible that they could be right, and either of those two things could be future villains. And I got so excited watching Endgame because I was like, they talked about that, and then they didn't even bring it up in their review, and I was so shocked that they missed it because I felt like it was just such an obvious hint. I was upset because I had a theory that there was going to be at least one main character who was going to be revealed to be a Skrull. Nobody was revealed to be a Skrull. We did learn in Captain Marvel that Skrulls aren't villains, they're not bad guys, so I guess I should have killed that theory after seeing that movie, but nobody was, and I was a little upset. One more thing about Thor. It's so funny how he argued with the people of Thor Ragnarok that he did not want to wear a wig anymore. He didn't want to wear a wig. He did not want to wear a wig. It was a whole big thing, and that's why he cut his hair in Thor Ragnarok, and then Infinity War didn't have a wig. But in this movie, he has not only this ridiculous wig, but he's also wearing a fake beard, and he's also wearing a prosthetic fat suit of some kind. So like he traded in just like one annoying thing for like 3 cumbersome things. I was a little shocked to see him having so much like extra makeup things on him when he was so adamant that he hated his wig. In the time jump of this movie, we see Bruce Banner totally come to terms with his Hulk and with his real self. Like they are at one, at peace. He's Professor Hulk now. He's like the super chill giant green dude all the time, but we don't see any of that. And he talks about how he worked in a lab trying to, you know, achieve this, but we don't see any of it. I feel like that is such a great opportunity for the MCU to give the Hulk a standalone movie with Mark Ruffalo, because the other Hulk movie with Ed Norton is so bad. Mark Ruffalo's never done a standalone Hulk movie, and they can't do like another origin story because they've had 2 Hulk origin stories, one with Ed Norton, one with Eric Bana. And so I feel like that would be such a great storyline to give Mark Ruffalo his own standalone Hulk film, is seeing him grapple with the Hulk. I feel like that could potentially be a movie in the future, and I would love to see Mark Ruffalo in his own film. I think he's so great at the Hulk, and I think he deserves a little bit more screen time. I also loved seeing Pepper Potts on-screen persona of Rescue. That's what her name is in the comics, so I'm assuming that's what her name is in the movie. They don't say it out loud, but I loved seeing her in the suit. We get to see her in a suit, or parts of a suit, in Iron Man 3, and it was just such an like empowering moment, and I loved seeing her come back in this film as wearing the suit, because of course she would be trained to use a suit. She's married to Tony Stark. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, I can't remember what I said at 2 o'clock in the morning. I loved when we were going through all of the time traveling things, seeing scenes from the old movies. Just being a fan of this franchise for 11 years and watching 21 films in preparation for this, it was so rewarding and like such a crucial moment to see all of these hints and nods and like appreciation moments to all the other films. My cat is trying to chew on her collar and I don't know what is happening. The most rewarding experience, because there's so many inside jokes and so many nods to other movies that it just like, it was such a nice payoff for fans. I have to say that the opening of this film absolutely shook me to my core. I could not believe that the opening scene made me cry, that we watched Clint's family get dusted, that we saw Thanos decapitated within the first 20 minutes. I was like flabbergasted. How could they defeat Thanos in the first 20 minutes of this 3-hour movie? Like, what's gonna happen? I didn't really know what to expect from this movie. I had no idea. I like knew that all these characters were gonna have to come back because a bunch of them have sequels coming up. I knew that some of our Avengers were gonna die, but I didn't really know what to expect from the plot. And so like seeing so much happen in the first 20 minutes and then a 5-year time jump, it was just, there was a lot, and I was very emotional. To see them have not only the original snap, but then we see the Hulk snap and Iron Man snap. And there were just so many moments. I had no idea how Steve was gonna die, but it was obvious he was gonna die based on like the tweets and everything that Chris Evans was saying. The minute that he sees Peggy in her office in S.H.I.E.L.D. in the 70s, I was like, that's it. He's gonna go back to the past and he's gonna be with Peggy and he's gonna have a long, beautiful life with her, and hopefully they have children and hopefully it's going to be amazing. That is the perfect ending for Steve. I could not have asked for anything better for his character. It felt obvious that Tony was gonna die in battle. Oh my God, the moment where Thanos says, I am inevitable, and Tony turns and goes, I am Iron Man. I had chills all up my arm, and I had just like this swell of emotion that I can't even explain. It's just so perfectly full circle. I was surprised that more Avengers did not die in that battle though. So we had quite a bit of emphasis on Tony's daughter, Scott's daughter, and Clint's daughter. I feel like they're all the right age moving into this new phase of the MCU for them to also become superheroes. Cassie and Lila, is that what Clint's daughter's name is, are a little bit on the older side, have the potential to become superheroes, and I would love to see Morgan grow up to be like an Iron Man replacement, because she does wear the mask. I just feel like these 3 girls we could very well see in the future as older characters, as superheroes. And then we were watching Tony's funeral scene. There was the one boy who was standing alone by himself that I couldn't place, but then obviously the internet told me who he was, and he was the little boy Harvey from Iron Man 3, and that was like the perfect little cameo of this character who was so touched by Tony and who like helped Tony get through some of his PTSD, and to have him at that funeral felt so, even though we never see him in any of the movies ever again. It was a lot. My favorite scenes was the Cap versus Cap battle. That was incredible. Asked Cap, I can do this all day. And present Cap is like, yeah, I know. And the whole commentary about Chris's butt and how it's the butt of America, I was dying laughing. Infinity War had so much pent up emotion throughout the movie because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't have any outcome in mind at all. And it was just like one surprise after another. Going to Endgame, you kind of had an idea of where the story was going to end, just not how we were going to get there. At least I thought I had a good idea of how it was going to end. I don't feel like it had as much constant suspense because I was audibly like gasping through the whole first movie saying, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And there were moments of that in Endgame, but there were also a lot of just like beautiful character moments, like relationships that got to see play out, conclusions that we got to see, and reunifications that we got to see. Reunitings that we got to see is probably the better word that I want to use there. There had to be a balance between character and action, whereas I felt like in the first movie it was so much more action and plot, and we didn't get a whole lot of like character moments. And in this one it was really focused on these characters because we were saying goodbye to this, you know, phase of the MCU. I really thought that they did a great job of balancing the humor, the character moments, the sob fest, the crying, and the action, the battle, the plot. Like, that's a lot to juggle, and I really do feel like they did a good job. It was a long movie, and there were some areas where it was like a little slower paced, but I felt like it was like a good ebb and flow throughout the movie. I was crying, I was laughing, I was panicking, and all the feelings and all the emotions, and like that's really the most important thing for me in a movie like this. I want to feel everything. I want every scene to evoke some kind of feelings in me, and I feel like this movie did a great job doing that. And I also love being in a theater that is so appreciative and so excited for the movie. Our audience was cheering and clapping and booing and just like so into the movie. They were invested, and it just like makes you this group. Only other time where that's happened for me was when I went and saw Deathly Hallows Part 2, and the theater was sobbing together and clapping together and cheering. That you could feel was like a moment in time, and this felt the same way. I'm really excited to see it again and to see what comes in the future MCU. Like, there's so many characters that are now introduced and so many different plot lines and stories, and there's like, we don't know what's coming next. I'm so excited to see what this next phase of the MCU brings for us and where we go from here. I'm hoping that we have some more female standalone movies. We have some more badass female superheroes. That scene in this movie where all the ladies of Marvel got together was so empowering, and I want to see that in standalone movies as well. I want to see some more diversity. Like, we have Black Panther, but I want to see more. I recognize and understand that this movie has faults, but I still loved it. I think Infinity War was definitely a better movie, but Endgame evoked a lot more and a wider scope of emotions from me. I would love for you guys to tell me your feelings in the comments down below. I'm sorry that this video is probably like an hour long. It's a 3-hour movie. There's lots of things to talk about and to discuss. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.